day, Dr. Lunara P. Divina Gracia. I am Nelvidi Portosa and I am the first reporter of Chapter 9, Constructivism. According to Elliott et al. 2000, Constructivism, it is an approach to learner that holds the people actively construct or make their own knowledge, and reality is determined by the experiences of the learner. So what is Constructivism? Constructivism, it is the most important learning theory that educators use to help their students learn actively and construct knowledge rather than passively take in information. As people experiences the world and reflect upon those experiences, they build their own representation and incorporate new information into pre-existing knowledge. Learners communicate with each other to share their understandings, feelings, and experiences to come up with a new knowledge. So the role of the teacher here is to facilitate the learners, to encourage, to interact with each other and exchange views and experiences and construct meaning that is based on their needs. The learners use their previous knowledge as a foundation and build it with the new things that they learn. So individual experiences make their learning unique to them. So, let's proceed the constructivist learning theory. There are two consequences of learning. Constructivist learning theory. So, first is students learn best when they engage in learning experiences rather than passively receiving information. Second is learning is inherently a social process because it embeds with social context as students, the teachers work together to build knowledge. So that are the consequences of constructivist theory. So, knowledge cannot be directly imparted to students. The goal of teaching is to provide experiences that facilitate the construction of knowledge. So, as a future educator, I need to be aware of many delays in bringing theory to practice. Constructivism is crucial to understand as an educator because it influences all your students to learn. Teachers and instructors that understand the constructivist learning theory will understand their students bring their own unique experiences to the classroom every day. Their background and knowledge impacts on how they are able to learn. So, let's proceed to the constructivist learning theory. There are four constructivist learning theory. The first is John Piaget's stages of development. Second is Live by God's gift. The third is the zone of proximal development. And the fourth is Jerome Bruner. So, first, let's tackle the Jean Piaget stages of development. Jean Piaget is known as one of the first theories on constructivism. His theories indicate that humans create knowledge through the interaction between their experiences and ideas. His view of constructivism is the inspiration of radical constructivism due to his idea that the individual is the center of knowledge, creation, and acquisition. Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development explores how child develop through working with children as they grow. So he would challenge the idea that the children are inferior thinkers compared to adults. His work provides evidences that children are not cognitively inferior to adults. He proves that children develop differently by establishing a theory involving cognitive stages. A child's cognitive development is not just acquiring knowledge. The child has to construct a mental model of the world. It occurs through the interaction of innate capabilities and environment events. And the children pass through series of stages. His theory splits development into four discrete stages. The first is sensory motor stage from birth to 2 years old. Second is the pre-operational stage from 2 years old to 7 years old. The third is concrete operational stages from 7 years old to 11 years old. And the last is formal operational stage from 12 and up. So let's proceed to the Live-Vygotsky. Live-Vygotsky works contains a central scope focuses on the social aspects of acquiring knowledge. He suggests that one learn best through interacting with others. Through the process of working with others, learners create an environment shared meanings with peers. By being immersed in a new environment, the learner is able to adapt the subjective interpretations to become socially accepted. Live-Vygotsky especially emphasized that culture plays a role in cognitive development. He believed infants were born with basic abilities to develop cognitively. Those basic abilities are then enhanced through interaction with others and eventually grow into more sophisticated mental processes. So, for example, a child is born with a basic ability to memorize. As a child interacts with its environment and peers, the method of remembrance adapts. If children is in learning setting that emphasizes flashcards, the child will use similar methods of the repetition to improve memory.
The zone of proximal development refers to the difference between what a learner can do without help and what he or she can achieve with guidance and encouragement from a skilled partner. Thus, the term proximal refers to those skills that the learner is close to mastering. In his research on the cognitive development of children, Jerome Bruner proposed 3 modes of representation: inactive representation or action-based, iconic representation or image-based, and symbolic representation or language-based. Bruner's constructivist theory suggests it is effective when faced with new material to follow a progression from inactive to iconic to symbolic representation. This holds true even for adult learners. He suggests that a learner even of a very young age is capable of learning any material so long as the instruction is organized appropriately. What are the principles of constructivism? The theory of constructivism has many elements. These 8 principles outline the theory as a whole and how they affect the learning of the students. First, we have knowledge is constructed. Every student begins the learning journey with some pre-existing knowledge and then continues to build their understanding on top of that. They will select which pieces of the experience to add, making everyone's knowledge unique. Number 2. Learning is a social activity. Interacting with others is vital to constructing knowledge. Group work, discussions, conversations, and interactions are all important to creating understanding. When we reflect on our past experiences, we can see how our relationship with others is directly connected to the information learned. Number 3. Learning is an active process. Students must actively engage in discussions and activities in order to construct knowledge. It is not possible for students to take on a passive role and retain information. In order to build meaningful ideas, there must be a sensory response. Number 4. Learning is contextual. Isolation is not the best way to retain information. We learn by forging connections between what we believe and the information we have already. Learning also occurs in the situation within the context of our lives, or alongside the rest of our understanding. We reflect on our lives and classify the new information as it fits into our current perspective. Number 5. People learn to learn as they learn. As each student moves through the learning journey, they get better at selecting and organizing information. They are able to better classify ideas and create more meaningful systems of thought. They also begin to recognize that they are learning multiple ideas simultaneously. For example, if they are writing an essay on historical events, they are also learning elements of written grammar. If they are learning about important dates, they are also learning how to chronologically organize important information. Number 6. Learning exists in the mind. Hands-on activities and physical experience are not enough to retain knowledge. Active engagement and reflection are critical to the learning journey. In order to develop a thorough understanding, students must experience activities mentally as well. Number 7. Knowledge is personal. Because every person's perspective is unique, so will be the knowledge gained. Every individual comes into the learning activity with their own experiences and will take away different things as well. The theory of constructivist learning is based entirely around each individual's own perspective and experiences. Number 8. Motivation is key to learning. Similar to active participation, motivation is key to making connections and creating understanding. Students cannot learn if they are unwilling to reflect on pre-existing knowledge and activate their thought process. It is crucial that educators work to motivate their students to engage in the learning journey.
I will discuss today about the three main types of constructivism. First is cognitive, the second is social, and the third is radical. Cognitive constructivism is state knowledge is something that is actively constructed by learners based on their existing cognitive structure. Cognitive constructivism comes from the work of Jean Piaget and his research on cognitive children. Cognitive, it helps students in learning new information by connecting it in the things that they already know. It also helps the students to accommodate new information by their own experience. The second type of constructivism is the social. This social focuses on the collaborative natures of learning. It comes from Lev Vygotsky and is closely connected to the elements of the cited and first answer. This social they will develop their knowledge by connecting and interacting to the other people and to their cultures and to their society. Students relay information to the other that they connect and they will help them to construct their own knowledge and their own reality. The last type of constructivism is radical. Radical constructivism is different from cognitive and social constructivism. The role of a teacher in a constructivist classroom. The primary responsibility of a teacher is to create a collaborative problem-solving environment where students become active participants in their own learning. This one is the teacher should act as a facilitator of learning rather than an instructor. That teacher should make sure that he or she understands the student's pre-existing conception and guide the activity to address them. And they should make sure that their students know more and understand what they instruct.
Constructivism in education. Constructivism of education is important to understand how teachers can apply constructivism inside their classroom to create a unique learning environment for students. In constructivism classroom, the teachers has a role to create a collaborative environment where students are actively involved in their own learning. Teachers are more facilitators of learning than actual instructors. Teachers much work to understand the pre-existing and conception and the understanding of students. Then work incorporate knowledge within those areas. Teachers will also adjust their teaching to match the learner's level of understanding. Constructivism classroom has the four early areas to be success. First is the shared knowledge between teachers and students. Second is shared authority between teachers and students. Third is the instructor takes the role of facilitator instead of director. And the fourth is learning occurs in a small group. There are examples of constructivism classrooms activity. First is the reciprocal. Reciprocal is a group of two or more students work together and teach one another. So example of this reciprocal is when the teacher is given a task by group. So we need to work together in order to make your task success. And the second is inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning. Students create their own questions and seek them to solve. So, example of this, when you have a research, so we need to find more information and ideas in order to make your research and to make your research expand. And the third is problem-based learning, similar to inquiry-based learning, but they are different because in problem-based learning is focused on the problem in a real world. So if you have a problem, you need to focus